by knife. "It's Barrett's turn," said number 4. "Well, it happened on October 16th, 1990. I did it with a knife. I had been taken to court for assaulting 2 traffic cops." "When did the traffic cop shit happen?" asked number 8. "Listen, guys," number 4 interrupted. "It would be better if nobody talked, because we already know that if we start asking questions and butting in all the time, we'll end up just talking about anything. All right? Come on, give it to him, Barrett." "Well, I'll go on. The shit with the traffic cops happened in 1981 or 82. The trial was due to take place at 11 o'clock in court number 3 in Elda. I left the cell around 9 o'clock without any breakfast or anything. We kicked up a stink so that they would bring us some coffee, but nothing. First I was searched in the section, then passed through a metal detector, and they made me undress at the entrance. Even the picoletos searched me. "And how did you manage to get the knife through, man?" several asked all at once. "I already had an agreement with the prisoner who was the orderly for the new arrivals that he would leave it for me behind the toilet bowl in the room they put you in to wait for the Guardia Civil. That way nobody saw anything. I put it in my shoe and the picoletos didn't notice. Also, the screws told them that they had already searched me thoroughly. There were another 3 guys in that room going to Elda with me, but I was called first. 4 picoletos were waiting for me outside the room. They handcuffed me behind my back and led me to the van. It was one of those green ones, a DKW, I think, very old, with leather seats. I stayed there alone and quickly passed the handcuffs under my legs and opened one with a key that I had. I took the knife out of my shoe and put it up my left sleeve. Well, it was more a blade than a knife. "You should have waited a little, shouldn't you?" number 6 said. "Well, I did it like that because the picoletos had gone to get the other 3 prisoners, and I didn't want any of them to see I had the key, because they'd ask me for it and I didn't want to show my cards. Later they brought these 3 guys from Elda that I happened to know. We finally left the prison. We had no escort, only 4 picos came with us, 2 in the front of the van and 2 at the back. During the journey I put my hands in front of me and told the others to keep quiet. They asked me if I had the key, but even though I knew them, as I told you, I didn't trust them, so I said I'd managed to jerk one of the handcuffs open. We started talking about this and that. Who was tough, who was here, who was there, the usual stories. One of them told me that there at Elda there was a great chance to escape very quickly. You know how shady these guys are. I told them I'd changed a lot and that after 7 years in jail I wanted to get out for good behavior. You know, mate? As we were reaching the town, which I hadn't been to for years, the others were explaining how things had changed to me. They said that there were more police, that the cops went around in a patrol 4x4, that the prostitutes had moved to another area. Rubbish. Well, we were reaching the court. It was new, and as I looked around the streets, I noticed some of them had changed. The van went into a kind of little square above the court. Behind it and on the opposite side there was a church, which also has a rear entrance. Hold on, number 6 interrupted. Wait. It seems to me that, from the way you're describing it, you'll continue to be the only one who knows what you're talking about. All right. I'm just trying to say that from the upper area, which was where I could run and escape from, I saw a cop leaning on a 092 municipal police car with a .38 caliber in his belt as we passed. Finally, the van stopped right opposite the main entrance to the court. We were about to get out, so I put both hands behind my back, with the locked handcuff over the unlocked one. One of the other prisoners got out first, and we were left there locked in, waiting. I looked through the bars of the van to check if the municipal guard was still behind, and there he was, still leaning on the car. I was too tense to act at that moment. The mate who got out first was back quickly because they had put off his trial. They called me next. I got out. I was escorted by 3 of the picoletos, and the others stayed in the van. I spotted another cop at the beginning of the road. In passing, I saw that there was another municipal guard on the other side of the road. That is, there was one at the beginning of the road and another at the end of it. I went up the stairs, and on the landing there was a picoleto armed with an automatic machine gun, one of those small ones with a long magazine. A Zita, somebody pointed out. It might have been a Zita, what do I know? So I saw all this and realized that it would be very difficult to run off. I didn't want to end up as someone's prey. The room was at the end of a straight corridor, from here to the wall. The sergeant held on tight to me by the handcuffs behind my back, and the picoletos had an arm each. I wasn't worried about the handcuff opening in the pico's hand, because you had to push hard for it to open. Once in the courtroom, I observed the scene in front of me. The public prosecutor, a woman, was on the left. The 3 judges were in the middle, and my lawyer was on the right. The trial went very quickly, and I was acquitted. When it was over, I had to sign the act, and that creep, what do you call him? The usher, suggested number 4. Him, the usher, brought the documents to me to the partitioned counter in front of me. The sergeant ordered me to stand up, but I refused. No, he has to read it to me before I sign. I can't read. The usher started reading. It was then that I hit him on the chest with my forearm, jumped over the partition, and, jumping onto her table, grabbed the public prosecutor. Everything was very fast. Showing the knife, I said I'd kill all of them if they dared to move, and told the police to throw down their weapons and get out. I saw that the traffic cops, the ones that had accused me in the trial, were out like a shot. They took their uniforms and everything else. The sergeant was in a state of shock and obviously didn't know what to do. As for the cop behind, he froze. They both left but didn't throw down their weapons. I looked around. There was only the public prosecutor and myself left, as well as the judge and 2 lawyers. All the others had flown, some through the front door and others out the back. The judge was pale and couldn't move. They had closed the exit door. The usher was still lying on the ground, senseless, foaming at the mouth. I turned to the judge and said, "Look, I just want to get away. I'm doing a 30-year sentence, and I'd rather die than go back to jail. I don't even care about my own life, you see?" The judge answered nervously, "Calm down, Barrett. Of course you will get away. You'll get away for sure." The prosecutor, who was shaking, pleaded with him. "Please, Pepe, please." I motioned to the judge to open the way for me. I knew that the Guardia Civil would be outside the door, so I wanted someone to cover me. I told the judge to hurry up and see to it with the Guardia Civil that they'd let me past. Otherwise, I would kill the public prosecutor. The guy left the room to talk to the picoletos. The judge wanted to give me the green light. Apparently, the picos wouldn't listen to him. In the end, quite exasperated, he shouted at them, "Go away!" and they went. The judge came in and told me that the way was clear. But instead of going out through the main door, I said to one of the lawyers standing there, "Get up, open the door, and look and see who's there." I used him as bait, just in case. I put myself behind the door while the lawyer opened it. I got into the corridor with the public prosecutor and saw that it was empty. The judge also went out into the corridor, but through a different door. I tried to reach the street and saw through a window that it was full of people. When I got closer, everybody suddenly ran away. I opened the door onto the street and the people appeared again. I turned around and said if anyone moved, I'd come back and kill them. The judge had already gone outside. You could see the whole of the street opposite from the window. I leaned out and saw that there was not a soul in sight. When I started to open the door, the judge warned me that it was full of people on the left side. I could hear the whispering of the personnel, but as soon as I opened the door, there was a deathly silence. This made me nervous. I had the public prosecutor as a shield, and the judge opened the way ahead of me, but that silence made me hide and cover myself even more. Then that idiot of a public prosecutor wanted to take off her gown before going into the street. I told her to get out there with her gown on, or I'd belt her one, and she got scared. As for the judge, he was downstairs waiting for me. But there was an area that was out of my field of vision, even with the door open. On top of that, by moving forward a little, I managed to see through the woman's hair that the Guardia Civil sergeant was aiming at me, ready to blow my head off. "If that son of a bitch doesn't move from there, I'll kill him," I shouted at the top of my voice. The judge seemed really terrified because he hadn't noticed and shouted at the cop, "Get away from there." The sergeant backed down when he realized that the judge was taking full responsibility for the situation. I realized that as well and went back in with the public prosecutor. I placed myself in a corner behind the door. To the side there was a staircase and 2 elevators. Then I saw that a lift was coming up to where I was standing. I used the public prosecutor as a shield and waited, but it didn't stop. I knew it was a trap. There was a door opposite the lift. I looked out and saw 2 National and 2 Municipal Guard patrol cars outside. While I was waiting for something to happen, I noticed a municipal guard coming down on tiptoe, pistol in hand, to grab me from behind. I turned to face him and shouted, "Guard, if you take 1 step further, I'll put the knife right through this woman's skull." The cop didn't say a word. He turned and went away. 2 or 3 seconds later, I saw the lift coming down again, but it went past my floor and stopped in the basement. I took the public prosecutor and stood opposite the glass door. There were municipal guards, civil guards, an ambulance with its lights flashing, plainclothes cops, and pigs of every kind outside. I was furious and said to the prosecutor, "Look, this is the situation. I don't want to kill you, but be well aware. If they don't clear the way, you and me will both die. I just want freedom." She was crying. "Oh, I'm fainting." "If you faint, I'll put the knife right through you. If you faint, you'll never wake up," I told her. Do you know what the woman said? She said, No, I won't faint, I won't faint." And she stood as straight as a poker. I was starting to see everything on the black side. But at that moment the judge, the chief commissioner, and the commander of the Guardia Civil came through the door. The cop's name was Benito. I turned to him with a face like a sadist, shouting, "Not 1 step more, Benito, or I'll kill her." At which time Benito stopped and turned to me. No, relax. We're just coming to talk to you. Look, I'm not armed. We only want to hear your requests, okay?" The cop of the Guardia Civil asked me if I wanted a car. I said a car was waiting for me 2 blocks down with 2 friends and a 38 in it. The guys wanted to negotiate, and this was my last chance. I grabbed the public prosecutor by the hair and pressed the knife to her throat. "Ouch, ouch," she complained. And I threatened them. 1 minute more, and if I still see a cop near the back door, I'll kill her. They went out, and at that moment the judge came back. He whined, "Please don't hurt her. Please, the police are going away. I swear it. Don't do anything. You'll go. I'm even coming with you." I turned and looked out of the window and saw that all the police cars were going. I moved near to the judge and saw that all the guards really were leaving, including the ones in plain clothes. I'd recognize them all anyway. Then I decided to go out. I moved very carefully, holding the woman tightly against me. I lifted her up so that I could move more easily. I put the judge to cover the dangerous area of the stairs and went down. I started walking in the street, and there were at least 300 people there. The judge stayed ahead of me. I went past the people, not through them, but on the other side of the street, but the people followed me. I heard a voice saying, "Hey, Barrett," and this made me nervous. I clung to a car, expecting something to happen. But when the voice said, "You've got some balls," I realized it was somebody I knew. I kept on walking along the road towards a traffic light about 100 meters away from the court. I saw a traffic light that looked on to 2 blocks. It was red with 4 cars waiting. I shouted to the judge, "Tell the people to get back." I was obviously referring to the people that were following me. When the judge turned around to talk to these people, I took the chance to run off towards the last car in the queue with the prosecutor over my shoulder. There was a woman inside listening to music. She hadn't noticed anything. The car window was open, and I pointed the knife at her throat and said, "Get out or I'll kill you, and leave the key in." The woman got out of the car and ran away fast. I got into the car without the public prosecutor that I was holding on to by the neck with one hand. While the other I tried the gears, because I didn't know that model of car. It was a model that I wasn't familiar with. After getting it into first gear all right, I let the public prosecutor go and said, "Now you see I'm a man of his word." The truth is, the woman had asked me many times to let her go. I closed the door and squealed off. I remember the woman shouting, "Good luck," just as I was leaving. I drove around in the car for 6 or 7 blocks, then abandoned it. I suspected the Picoletos would be blocking all the town's exit roads. That was sure. As I knew the town from top to bottom, I walked through the streets and quickly got them to lose my tracks. I left the town by the mountain and reached a hideout about 300 meters away, where I stayed until dark. Then I went to Sachs. I knew people there. They helped me with money, and from there I went to Alicante, and then to Cordoba. Okay, that's another story, said number 4. We agreed to talk about our last escape only. Now it's Wanjo's turn, right?